Hey guys, welcome to Muscle Memory. My name's Malcolm. Now we're here with Joe Coffey. How are you, man?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm good. I'm good.
That's good. I like that sign behind you, Gallus. Boys, is it a tour? You guys are going on tour?
Well, hopefully we will be touring. Just to cut a long story short, with the release and the contract, our visa goes with that. So we're in the process of going through a new visa, which hopefully won't be too lengthy. It's costly, but it's going to be an investment. Unfortunately, just now we have to be landlocked in the US, so it means we can't work in the US or get back to Europe or Japan or anything. So it's just a bit of a waiting game. It's a bit frustrating because I've been wrestling for a long, long time,
Yeah.
coming up for 16 years now. It's what I know, and I'm just itching to get my boots on, tie the laces up, and just get back to work and get back in the ring. So hopefully it won't be too long.
So as someone who doesn't like necessarily know too much about visas or whatever, I'm from DC, never had a reason to like have to, live outside the country. What do you mean exactly by like you can't work outside or you can't even work inside the US right now? So you can't even wrestle anywhere right now. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, yeah. So being like an international talent, with that contract comes a visa,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, the visa goes with the contract. So going through a new visa process, we cannot leave the country. Like we only had like I think it was 30 to 60 days to leave America,
Yeah.
and to me, that's just not an option just now because for the past 2 years, I've had a missus here, and I'm going to have to split my time between Europe and the States and maybe Japan if that comes calling.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of be landlocked just now until that visa process goes through. So that is why I reckon like if it was all systems go, we would be a lot of places right now. But unfortunately, we just have to wait until that process kind of clears. So
Mm.
it's frustrating. It's
Yeah.
frustrating.
No, I'm frustrated just hearing that. Like, is there like
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can share about it, but is there like a certain time frame that you guys are looking at as far as that, or you maybe not
It,
say too much about it?
yeah. It's just that it's going to take as long as it's going to take, unfortunately. I don't want to speak on politics or anything like that, but
Yeah.
the way America is just now, and again, this is just someone looking from the outside. I have got no affiliations to any political party here. It's not my circus, to be honest. I'm interested in it, but it's just the way immigration is and things like that. I don't know how long it will take to clear, but I'm
Mm.
hoping it'll be soon.
Okay.
Hoping.
Okay. Well, hopefully it all works out like very soon. Like hopefully you're
Yeah.
not landlocking you guys too long down in Florida, correct? You're still in Florida?
Yeah, still in Florida. Still in
Okay.
Florida.
All right. Well, hopefully we get that sorted out soon for you. I mean, let's talk about your overall career though. I mean, you've done a lot in pro wrestling up to this point. Um, let's start from the beginning. I mean, like, why did you decide to become a pro wrestler?
So I was a fan obviously since I think age 4. I never go to one of my cousin's house and he had a VHS. That might be showing my age here, but he had a VHS, WWF VHS. And I think the first match I ever saw was Boss Man versus Nails.
Oh
And
wow.
I was like, what is this I'm watching? And then I looked over and he had the Hasbro figures. I always remember he had Yokozuna and Doink, and they were like they just as a kid, I was just like that's what I want to play with. And
Yeah.
he had the old Hasbro ring and stuff. So from that moment on, I was just that in the back of my head, I was like, I'm going to do that one day. And I started pro wrestling a bit later than I wanted to. I started at age 21 because it was after school. I went to university, and at the time, I was playing very, very high level club rugby back in Scotland. And I'd been through like the age grade systems, like played for the Glasgow development setup and like had some Scotland stuff and that. And at age 21, I had kind of fallen out of love with rugby. And I always loved pro wrestling. Like when I was back home, I get 3 mates who I still keep in contact with near enough every day. My mate Tony, my mate Glancy, and my mate Steve, who wrestled as Jackie Polo, who was Marco's tag partner. We just were wrestling crazy. And it was Steve that said, I've found a wrestling school. And this was at age 21. I was like, no way. And it was like, yeah, it's like 20 minutes from our house. And I
Oh,
was like, There's wrestling in Scotland because like the only close thing that I knew to wrestling in Scotland was Rowdy Roddy Piper back in the
Yeah.
day, and then obviously Drew McIntyre. I was like, okay, and I was kind of falling out of love with rugby. I was just finishing university, and I'd set up a personal training business. I was like, do you know what? I called my coach and I went, hey, look, I'm really not enjoying this just now. I'm going to go chase something else. And he was like, oh, that's a shame. Like, you're still young. Like, I know there's guys ahead of you in your position and stuff, but like, if give it a year. And I was like, look, I need to go chase this just now. And he went, do you mind asking what it is? And I was like, yeah, it's pro wrestling. And he just kind of like laughed and he went, well, I think you'll be good at that. So good luck. And then basically started training at a wrestling school, SWA, it was called at the time. And it was good. Like, I remember going in the first day I ever went to training, so busy. And there, it always sticks out in my head. Probably like a precursor for what was about to come. And it was me and Jackie that went, and it was Big Demo who initially took us under his wing. And it was great. That training school was great because it opened a lot of doors. Fergal Devitt or Finn Balor would come from Japan and do seminars. And at that time, he was a massive star in Japan. No one kind of really knew in the European scene or American scene. Like they weren't, it's not the same fanfare it is just now. But I learned so much from him. And John Moss, who's a coach at the Performance Center, would come and do seminars as well. And my like initial training, I credit them a lot because I learned so much in those early days from them. And then it just kind of
Wow.
kicked on from there.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, it all ended up working out for you. You ended up in WWE and whatnot. I think the first time I
Yeah.
ever actually like watched one of your matches, it was part of you in WCPW. I feel like that really for
Yeah.
American wrestling fans, that kind of put us on to like what the European scene, the UK scene actually looked like. What's like your fondest memory wrestling for WCPW? Because that promotion was great watching as a fan.
Yeah, I really enjoyed WCPW. I didn't quite understand what it was at the
Yeah.
time. Like, I didn't really know, kind of a bit of a technophobe at times. Like, setting this call up was a bit of a, you know what I mean? But like, I didn't really click on to what it was or how big this audience was. I was like, oh, yeah, it's just another show that's popped up. And it was really good because it would be during the week. So, like, they do Wednesdays or Thursdays or Tuesdays, or maybe do like 3 days. So it'd be great because you get 3 days work, and then I'd probably be booked Friday, Saturday, Sunday as well, maybe doing a double shot on Sunday. And then when the summer came, I'd be doing some of the camp shows that they do in the UK.
Yeah.
So it was really good because it was like, oh, I'm getting more reps in. I just get to go work. And I was like, yeah, this is really good. And then it wasn't until the first taping aired and my Twitter started blowing up. And I was like, what is going on here? And I just
Huge.
didn't realize how big this audience was. But I really loved it. And, always thankful that they gave us a shot and, was kind of a staple part of the roster. And I just had got to work with some great people. One of the standouts was I got to wrestle Minoru Suzuki twice, which I
Mhm.
never thought would ever happen. I was set up, I think it was in Newcastle, to wrestle him on night one of two tapings. And then he really enjoyed it so much that he wanted to do it a second time. And I was like, this is great. And like it was a real pleasure to work with him. He's an icon, he's a legend. And I think one of the reasons why he really wanted to work me again is because it was very safe. He is a little bit older, so I was aware, like they're here to see you. Maybe if I could maybe take back my career, like I'm not a selfish professional. I've never been a selfish professional, but sometimes I think later on in my career, that's kind of maybe, you know, blocked me from a few things or maybe been a little bit of a, you should have been a bit selfish. But to him, it was fantastic. And just the exposure I got from those initial shows and then for it lasting for a few years. And then it was just like this crazy amount of talent that would come in when they done the World Cup. It was just like a who's who of
It's huge.
independent wrestling,
Yeah.
people from New Japan, people from Ring of Honor. It was absolutely crazy.
Absolutely. Now, I feel like when a lot of people like think Joe Coffey, they think about your time in NXT, NXT UK. I usually think about you wrestling Kurt Angle for ICW. I'm like, that is such a wild matchup. What was the story of you figuring out that you're going to wrestle Kurt Angle from this like big crowd in Scotland, right?
Yeah, it was in the Hydro Arena, the Glasgow Hydro Arena, which is massive.
Yeah.
And I think ICW packed about just under 7,000 people in that arena.
Woo.
And for an independent show at
Yeah.
that time, and it was 2016, it was just crazy because that is predominantly a WWE run
Yeah.
venue. Because at the time it was just WWE. I think AEW are doing it in August 20th, which would be interesting because it's our hometown, and now we're free agents and we can do whatever we want. So just putting that out there. But it was fantastic, and I remember the night it was Mark Dallas had said, "Look, we were on a tour bus, so the ICW uh, show at the time was doing tours all over the UK,
Yeah.
and for an independent company to do that and go to different cities was fantastic at that time. ICW were a trailblazer. I don't care what anyone says. So we're sitting on a tour bus, and which was crazy as well. We got proper tour buses. We felt like rock stars, you know. It was great. So we're sitting in the tour bus after the show, having a couple of drinks,
Yeah.
and he said, "Mate, you're going to wrestle Kurt Angle." I was like, "Shut up, mate, shut up." And he showed me the graphic, and I was like, "No way."
Right.
So that kind of blew my mind because Kurt is like my favorite and like who I think is the best ever to do this can change on a daily basis. But Kurt is arguably one of the best to ever do this. Like
Absolutely.
he has absolutely everything. And from
Yeah.
someone who didn't come from like professional wrestling, it's just unbelievable. But to be in the ring with him and like look out and see like close to 7,000 people, and I'll get friends and family watching it there, and people who have been there since I started and watched me, it was just crazy. And he couldn't have been any better to wrestle and work with. I cannot say enough about Kurt Angle, and he really helped. You know, that helped my career take it to another level. Being in there with a Hall of Famer, a world champion, Olympic gold medalist, you can't really argue with that. And again, same thing. Like at the time, I knew Kurt had just finished with WWE, and you know, isn't this is probably physically not the same as he was 20 years ago,
Yeah,
and just
fair.
want to make sure that he got out that match safe, and you know that he had a good time, and
Yeah.
I think he did. But that show was crazy because I think my brother and Jackie Polo, they wrestled the Dudleys on that show, and I think that was like maybe their last tag match ever. It was just
Might have been, yeah.
yeah, do you know what? At that time, I felt as if like because you're always thinking, what's next? What's
Yeah.
next? I really enjoyed it, but I probably didn't take it in as much as I should have because you're just trying to be in that moment and like let's go out and tear the house down. But it was amazing, absolutely brilliant.
That was an amazing match. Were you like involved in the time when Triple H actually showed up in ICW? Like, what was your thoughts hearing about that? Because like to see Triple H walk out an independent show, especially like an independent show that's in the UK, just blew my mind personally. Like, what was your thoughts on seeing that?
I mean, it was a great collaboration at the time, especially because NXT UK hadn't started. I think they'd done one tournament,
Yeah.
and I wasn't with them then, but I was kind of like I really wanted to, meet him and shake his hand and say, "Look, how you doing? Like, I'm Joe." But I had a flight to catch because I was doing a double shot that day. So we were in Cardiff in Wales, and I had to get a flight to Edinburgh because so I was the champion at ICW at that time, but I was also the champion for another company called Discovery in Edinburgh, which is actually owned by Joe Henry now.
Oh, nice.
And it's like I don't want to like be really rude and not say hello. So I literally came out, showered quickly. Actually, no, I didn't shower. I had my boots on because I needed to go. I just put like shorts on and was ready to walk through an airport with my boots on. And it was Mark Dallas went, "Hey, this is our champion, Joe." And I was like, "Hey, I've got to go. I've got another booking up in Edinburgh." And he was like, "Oh, is that a drive?" And I was like, "No, it's a flight." And he's like, "Oh, shit, like you better go." And I was like, "It was nice to meet you." So, but that was a really cool thing. Again, like in the age of content, like having that
Yeah.
for ICW at the time was massive. And it was just, it seems as if the door's been kicked open a lot now in professional wrestling. Like anything can happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good for business. And it's even better for the fans to experience stuff like that because wrestling, the surprises in wrestling are the best moments. Like, for example, uh, Ron Killings at
Hmm.
Money in the
Yeah.
Bank.
That was crazy.
You
That
can't,
was
you just
insane.
can't, you can't. put a price in those moments, literally. So
Right?
it was really cool, and it was great to get an introduction to him at the time.
Amazing. Now, did that lead to like your signing with NXT UK, or is this like a little bit before that, or a little bit after that?
I think that was a little bit before it because myself and Mark at the time ended up signing with, so it was a massive television company in the UK called ITV.
Okay.
So in the UK, there's like terrestrial television,
Yeah.
not cable, and like the main channels are like BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4, and Channel 5. So ITV wanted to bring back World of Sport
Okay.
and have the World of Sport show, not like it was then.
Yeah.
It was a modernized version. So we ended up doing that before, and that kind of died down. We done a pilot for it, which aired on New Year's Day, and it was great to be a part of it. Don't get me wrong, it was a great crew of people,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't what I wanted to do at the time. When I watched the pilot, it felt too much like a game show.
Mm.
And I was like, like I felt like I was being wheeled out in Wheel of Fortune or something like that, and Family Affairs, fucking Jeopardy. Try to think of American television
Yeah.
shows that can kind of cross
Yeah,
over.
I got you.
Yeah, and I really the WWE tournament had happened kind of similar. The first tournament had happened like a month after, and I was disappointed. I was like, if only I'd have known about that, I would have
Yeah.
maybe waited for that, but I wouldn't change it because that's the way the path was at the time, and it was still a great time. And then I think it was later on that year, or it might have been the next year, there was chat that the World of Sport had a series,
Yeah.
and then there was talk of another WWE tournament. And I was sitting, it was a show for SWA in Paisley, just outside Glasgow at the time. I had heard people were getting offers, and I was sitting there and I was like, I've not even got an offer from anyone. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, I thought I was decent. And then I get a text ITV because I hadn't heard from WWE, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, I think me and Mark, and it was Rampage Brown and Ashton Smith were in a
Yeah.
tag match, and it was one of the more higher rated segments.
Mhm.
I was like, "Look, I was in a higher rated segment. The tag match went really well.
Yeah.
Why have I not been offered anything?" They're like, "Oh, we thought you'd sign with WWE," and I went, "I've not heard anything." And they're like, "Okay, we'll be in touch like tomorrow." And then I got a text from Jim Smallman from like WWE NXT. He's like, "Hey, don't sign anything yet. There's going to be another tournament we want." And I was like, at the end of the day, I come back from that. So like, yes, I've got two offers. Here we go. So ended up taking the WWE route
Of
because
course.
that is it's what I wanted, at the time, and wanted to work for that as well.
Do you feel like NXT UK was helping or like hurting the UK scene? 'Cause I feel like I've heard a lot of different opinions on that, but someone who's like actually done the independent scene and done NXT UK. What's your thoughts on that?
I can't say that it hurt it. It took talent for sure. It took top talent, but the things that we have learned from WWE
Yeah,
is something that we can pass on to everyone else. And it's the top notch of coaching. There's a top notch facility. You're learning from the best people.
for sure.
So I didn't feel as if it hurt. I think COVID hurt it,
Yeah,
because the whole world shut down. And, moving forward, it's hard to get a business back up and running from that. But, good credit to everyone in the UK who I've not been a part of that scene for a while, but there's a lot of companies that are thriving. But I felt it was nothing but good because it then gave people something to aim for, and it was a pathway into WWE. So I felt as if it was very beneficial. I thought it was positive. So I had nothing but good things to say about that.
absolutely. I mean, you guys held those NXT UK tag titles. Personally, that's probably some of the best looking championships I've ever seen in pro wrestling. I thought those were just like the best looking titles in the company at the time. But even jump
The
forward, yeah, even like jump forward a little bit. I know that you guys are involved with training with The Rock before WrestleMania 40. Could you share any like stories with The Rock?
Yeah, I mean it was a crazy situation to be in. I
Yeah.
remember myself and Mark were sitting in the gym. My parents had just come over to visit for like 10 days, and they had arrived the night before. So we're sitting in the gym, we were going to go in the PC, we were getting our workout out of the way, and then we're going to go in the PC and do the PC strength and conditioning work. And we got a text from Matt Bloom, the head of the PC. Hey guys, pack your bags. You're going to train The Rock for WrestleMania, and we'll get a good relationship with Matt Bloom. I was like, he's just, what is he talking about? He's just ribbing us. So I was like, nah, surely not. But my initial reaction, I was like, no, that can't be right. But at the time, I was going to take my folks to Universal, and I'd literally bought like $600 worth of tickets for like me, Mark, my mom and dad, uh, and my missus at the time. It's like I've just spent $600 and I'm not going to get this refund. It's typical Scottish mentality. But then so we text Matt back and go, "Is this a rib?" And he's like, "No, no, we're serious." I was like, "Oh." So we finished our session, went and packed our bags, but we hadn't got any flight information through yet. And we were kind of sitting there, and it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, getting a bit anxious now. So we text like the travel department, like, "Hey, we've not received flights." And like, "Oh yeah, it's the 4:15 flight." And I was like, "We're sitting in the house." I'm like, "Okay, just be at the airport for 7 and we'll get you on a flight." And I was like, "Right, okay." So we got that, and then the first day we were supposed to train. I think something had happened, like there was like a delay from Raw or something like that. And so we got to spend the day in LA, which was pretty cool. So me and Mark and Wolfie just went about and do like I'm a massive movie fan, so I went seen like different places where like White Men Can't Jump was filmed, like scenes from
Okay.
Entourage, like American History X, Lords of Dogtown, that kind of thing. And I was like, this is amazing. And because you've got to take advantage of those things. That's where you like
Of
steal a
course.
day from. That's where you steal a day in this job. But then the next day it was like all systems go and a few days of training. And it was unbelievable. So we'd arrived and it wasn't. It was like in this secret location. I think it was just off Compton as well. Like, and we're like, this can't be it. It was just this warehouse that was just inconspicuous. I was like it felt like a Marvel Avengers meeting. Like you were going to meet the Avengers. And so he goes in and like no one's there yet, and then people start arriving, and Michael Hayes was there because he was in charge of the match. Bobby Roode was a producer. One of the trainers, Larry, and then The Rock, Chad Patton, the referee as well, great guy. And then The Rock showed up, and he's got a presence, like he's just The Rock.
Yeah, of course.
So we're ready with the boots on, and he's getting stretched off and that, and I'm just like, I just went up and went, "Shall we do this then?" And then got in and just rolled about and got warm and stuff like that, and kind of went through what needed to be done. It was just crazy. Like Wolfie was like on the outside at the time, like because it was the tag scenario, and he was just like he just felt as if he had an outer body experience, and he was just watching me and The Rock like walk up and take heads and stuff, and it was incredible,
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And I again can't say enough nice things about The Rock. He's just humble and genuine. For me personally, as he comes across in his interviews,
Yeah.
and like that whole experience was great, and we got paid on top of our salary. Again, just showing the type of guy he is. When we arrived back in Orlando, there was all the new line of the Under Armour Project Rock stuff, like 3.5 grand's worth of gear,
Whoa.
boxes of Terramana, a nice
Whoa.
little note from him. Like it was just he's the man. He's the absolute man. So couldn't say enough nice things about it. It was a great time. And it was just good. It was good. Like me, Mark, and Wolfie were nervous watching the match. We felt like well, the only way I can describe it is like being a soccer, a football manager, and your team's performing. But
Yeah.
it was great to see, and we each, we felt as if like we've got enough experience and like, but we wanted to, show respect and keep our place. And I felt like we're like itching to like add contributions in and stuff. And to be fair, it was Bobby Roode and even Rock said, if you guys get any ideas, feel free to to put them out there. And we did, and parts of them got used in the match, and
Wow.
um, it was just nice to have like to show that respect as well for us as professionals. So it was
Oh,
a great experience.
oh, that's amazing. Now, I got like three more questions for you. Do you feel like after working with like The Rock, and obviously it's like the main event of WrestleMania, his first match back in, X amount of years, that you guys will have like a solidified spot in WWE? Because unfortunately it didn't like result in like your guys' release. But how did you feel like going into that portion of your life where you get released and it's like, well, I just trained The Rock for his WrestleMania 40 match. How come this happened the way it did, you know?
Yeah, I mean. I didn't think it would solidify us as anything. Like we're the three of us are very professional and have never complained about doing anything. We never complained about the creative. We never, to quote Carrying Cross, and this I feel is very relatable. We were good soldiers and maybe too good at times of doing what was asked of us. Um, Nothing's guaranteed in this business and it doesn't owe you anything. So we were always willing to put the work in to fight for our spot as we do every single day. And ever since I've laced that pair up, I know nothing's guaranteed and I will always fight for my place in the card. So I didn't feel as if it done like it was great at the time. And at that time I was disappointed because there was Stand and Deliver that happened that weekend, like leading up, and we weren't on it. And I was like,
Yeah,
I've got a lot to offer as a professional wrestler, and me personally, I feel as if I didn't even get to scratch the surface really of what I can do for NXT, which was disappointing because if you give me a microphone, I've got very sarcastic eyes and a tongue that will slash you like a lock knife.
yeah.
And I can cut promos with the best of them, and I can build people up as well
Hmm.
because I know what we're there to do. But it was disappointing not being on that show. But to be honest, that what The Rock done for us was very good for our career at the time as well. Because no doubt, I've got no doubt, we will probably go into some coaching or producing. But that is when I hang my boots up, and I am still young enough, and I've got so much to offer the professional wrestling world before I even think of that.
Absolutely. Now, going into this next chapter, when you guys are able to eventually, get back into the ring and wrestle, is there a certain spot that you're looking to land in? Is there a certain match you're looking for? What's the next step for you guys as soon as you're able to get back in that ring?
I just want to get back to working all around the world. It's something I've done, pre WWE. Um, and the only thing, there's not a negative of working for WWE for me, but I would have been in the ring every single night, twice on Sunday if I could. I just want to wrestle every single day. And I was kind of used to that before I'd like from the years of like 2015 to 2018. I could have been wrestling up to 5 shows a week.
Yeah.
And that's not a joke because the independent scene in the UK and Europe was so hot at the time. And even like when I got taken over to do like a tour of Japan for 01, I was just used to, that I wouldn't even call it a grind because I absolutely love it. Um, so I just want to get back to working everywhere. And like to any promoter out there, if you have me in your show, you'll get everything. You'll get every ounce of energy. You'll get promos. You'll get vlogs. You'll get absolutely everything because I've prided myself on being a proper professional wrestler. And with me, you'll get the full package. So just we'll see what happens with the visa process. But I just want to get out and hit every continent and wrestle in countries and work in countries that I haven't even been to yet. I would love to do that. Just get back to being a world warrior.
Absolutely. Now, before I ask my last question, thank you for the time you've given me, honestly. Because like this is such a cool interview. Been watching for so long. This is obviously like a really full circle moment for me. But the final question for you, Joe Coffey, what is your Waffle House order?
So I was waiting for this because this is interesting, right? So I've been in Florida for like just over 2 years now. And I've been to Florida and Orlando and Tampa and that. I'd wrestled over here a few times independently and then like been brought over when we were in NXT UK. And I hadn't had a Waffle House. I hadn't had a Waffle House until last year. I beat IHOP. Don't get me wrong, I beat IHOP. I know that's
IHOP.
I know that
What?
is sacrilege in your world, but uh, I went to I went to a show in Tampa, not a wrestling show, just a music gig
Yeah.
with my girlfriend. And we were driving back, and there was a Waffle House coming up. I went, I've never had a Waffle House, and she went, "Oh, you've got to go. It's like an institution." I was like, "No, I know. Like I've listened to shoot interviews and read books and all that where they talk about Waffle House." I was like, "Right, let's go." So goes down to Waffle House. I'm
Yeah.
not really too sure what to order. I know it's like all the breakfast items and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So I was like, right. and I ordered a ridiculous amount. I was like, give me 4 sausage patties.
Okay.
I want scrambled eggs with cheese. I want the
Mm.
hash browns on the side.
Mm.
And this is the piece de resistance for me.
Okay.
Biscuits.
Okay.
Biscuits. I'm obsessed
Okay.
with biscuits.
Okay.
Obsessed with them because you don't get them in the UK. It's more like a
Yeah.
scone in the UK, and it's not like a kind of
That's different. That's
I
different.
don't need
Yeah.
caviar. So I'm like, give me a side of 4 biscuits as well.
Were the
And I've been
biscuits
obsessed.
moist or were they dry?
But they were actually quite moist. I thought they were quite moist.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
But it's got me an obsession because me and the missus will make biscuits all the time. I love them. Like actually a couple of days ago we were experimenting, put like
Yeah.
garlic and butter in it and a little drizzle of honey. So
Mm.
Waffle House has got me experienced in the biscuits, but that would be my Waffle House. So anything pro, it'd be very different. I was maybe uh, she was driving and I had a couple of drinks, so it's maybe not
Yeah.
what I would order if I was like on the road or anything. You know,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
fried chicken breasts and eggs and stuff. But
Yeah.
oh, it was top notch.
This is what we like to hear, you know? I mean, you said IHOP for a minute, that kind of made me feel a little weird. I was like, I thought we were getting along, and then you said IHOP, and I was like, all right, about to end the interview right there. But then you went back and then you ordered the Waffle House. Life is good, you know, you make
That's it.
great decisions.
I'm giving you a little hope spot. You know,
Yeah,
like I'm putting a bit of heat on, putting a hold on, and then bring you back up for
yeah,
the finish.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I had to do it. You know, like being in America, like again, growing up in the UK, like you never see these things, and you're like, well, I'll try it, but you know, I have got a body to work on as well, so I couldn't go
can't go
totally crazy.
crazy.
But
I respect
it
it.
was great. It
I
was great.
respect it. Joe, thank you so much for your time. Where can I find you on social media if they're not already following you?
No problem. I'm on Instagram at JoeCoffey88, X or Twitter, as I still call it, at Joe underscore Coffee. I'm on Threads as well, but I know that's the same as Instagram, and I think Joe Coffee 88 for TikTok, which I begrudgingly got when we got released to get more social. I am not a TikToker, but
It's just Instagram with some fun dances.
yeah, yeah. I don't think I'll be doing any dances. I've seen enough people at the PC try to do TikToks, and I'm just like, I'm not from this generation. So. But that's where you can find me. And if any promoters would like to get in touch, it's joecoffee.wrestling@hotmail.com for bookings, appearances, signings.
Awesome. Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time. Guys, my name's Malcolm. This is Muscle Memory, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. Hey.